Hello everybody, Calamity here, and this is actually my second time recording this video now because first time I did it, I didn't realize my microphone wasn't muted or wasn't on, so good job me there. But anyways, we're going to look at the two new characters coming to 5.5, the two banners as well, or the two phases of the banners as well, and I'll give my 2 cents on them. So let's go ahead and start with VARESA.
Oh my god, the heart effects. She even falls down?
So
That's
this is her
so
normal
adorable.
attacks.
Without the mask, VARESA's movements can be a bit uncoordinated, awkward, and clumsy. But once she has the mask on, her demeanor does a complete 180.
That's actually kind of a cool
this girl's
detail.
got wrestling skills.
Definitely. But the core of her kit
Kind of a weird design though. That means she always needs to have the mask on for her to do damage. So I guess she just needs her. I'm guessing her elemental skill gives her the mask, so you need to make sure that she always has that available. I'm assuming it has a pretty low cooldown.
it is actually her plunging attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of different, right? VARESA uses the momentum of her charged attack to leap into the air and then plunge.
So it says here, VARESA can unleash a charge attack, which then she leaps into the air to perform a plunging attack. So any buffs to charge attack and plunging attack seem to be pretty solid, although I think you do want to focus more on plunging attacks here, is what they're leaning towards. But it is cool that she uses more parts for kit.
Toward her enemies. After unleashing her elemental skill, tapping her normal attack will allow her to quickly perform a charged attack and then attack with greater speed.
Wow.
So yeah, you're doing a charge attack just by tapping normal attacks. You don't actually have to hold it, so it feels faster, which is good. So this character looks really fun to play, at least at initial release or initial thoughts.
Wow. She seems a lot more lithe, and her moves seem more forceful.
Forceful is right. VARESA gains Night Soul points by hitting enemies with her plunging attack. When her
I like these little tidbits of info that we're getting on the bottom right now. So it says right here, when VARESA restores her Night Soul points to her maximum through a plunging attack, she enters what's called the Fiery Passion state, which increases her damage dealt. So again, I like that they mention this, but they also make sure to be vague and they don't give you numbers ever. So we need to see how much damage she's increasing while in the Fiery Passion state. It could be really, really good.
Night Soul points reach maximum level through this method, VARESA can enter a special state
And that's a new
consume
enemy
Night
right
Soul
there.
points to unleash an even stronger plunging attack.
So this must be the hero state you mentioned before, when she wears the mask.
So I like this team that they have here. We have an overcharged team with Chevreuse and Malvika. Obviously Malvika also gives attack buffs, don't forget. But Cloud Retainer will also be a really good support for VARESA because she also just straight up buffs plunging attacks. So lots of team ideas, lots of team buffs for VARESA.
Mask and channels her idol. Wow, yeah, her moves definitely look so much more confident now.
That's for sure. The combination of her elemental skill, charged attack, and plunging attack is where her kit really shines. Plus, when in this state, for a brief period of time after performing a plunging attack, VARESA can unleash a special elemental burst.
Oh, I get it.
So, as they just said, when she's in the Fiery Passion state, it looks like you want to only use her burst when in that state, and I'm sure there's going to be a very obvious visual indicator. It could be just like this like, I don't know what you would call this like diamond thing around her. Could possibly be that visual indicator. I'm not quite sure. And it says here that it reduces the elemental energy cost of her burst as well.
So the on-screen indicator around her signals when you can unleash it.
Yep, and during her normal elemental burst, VARESA dons her mask, enters her special combat state, and unleashes a powerful flying kick against her enemies.
Oh, wait. I thought it was the skill that puts her mask on. Is it the burst only? Because it looks like you got to use her normal burst, put on mask, then you're in... hopefully the duration is long. And then you have to... That's probably why it costs less energy, because they want you to use her skill and spam her buttons and stuff and generate more energy, and then do her burst again to get that special version of it, is what it sounds like.
Whew, that's a strong kick.
Of course, adventuring isn't all about combat. Like the Saurians of her
Let's read this paragraph that they got going here. It's a little bit blocked by the captions. Let me remove them for 1 second. Sudden onrush. Hold Varesa's elemental skill to switch into sudden onrush state. While in this state, Varesa will gain increased movement speed and resistance to interruption. In addition, Varesa will be able to make flying leaps using terrain or consume night soul points to freely move on water or liquid phlogiston. So this is her, the mobility power creep of Natlan is real. And just exploration in general. So she'll be, at least again, just for Natlan, she'll feel really good to explore with once again. So pretty solid. I mean, she's moving fast. She's jumping high.
Jumping and smashing through obstacles in her way.
Yeah, I was gonna
pretty
say
good.
that leg spinning animation when she sprints is just so cute.
Yeah. Plus,
Very Sonic-like.
if she encounters an obstacle on the road, she can just leap right over it.
Yeah, she jumps pretty high.
Varesa's a great fighter
Looks
when
good.
she needs to be, but she doesn't do too well in a competition setting. She's afraid of hurting other people.
Ah, okay, so she's all raw power and no control, huh? I bet Yun-san could help with that.
The subtitles got that wrong. Anyways, that's gonna be it for Varesa's kit. I do feel really bad for this character because on her initial like drip marketing tweet, a lot of people hated her design. But I've said this before, I'm not really a waifu judging or a husbando judging characters on their looks kind of person. I just care about what is their kit and how fun are they to play. And from my initial viewing, I said this on the first time I recorded this, she looks really fun to play. She honestly does. If I had, more gems to waste and just spend it on every character, I would definitely kind of actually want to pull for her. I am saving my gems, and plus I'm already happy with my Natlan team with Malvika and Silali and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and move on to the 4-star character that is also getting ran. I'm assuming she's getting ran alongside Varesa, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, so here's Ian-san's kit.
Ian-san is an electro polearm user.
Polearm? But isn't that a barbell?
Hey, a barbell can be an effective weapon, but only in the hands of an experienced...
I just feel bad because Yan-san is a support character, spoiler, but these characters always tend to have really cool like normal attack animations. It's just a shame you probably won't ever use them.
in-game professional, of course. So don't try this at home, travelers.
Yeah, I think I'm
At
gonna
least
use
for
the
endgame
barbell
content, you
fighting to
won't.
Yan-san.
With her elemental skill, Ian-san gains night soul points and dashes forward a certain distance.
Quick!
With her elemental burst, Ian-san unleashes a powerful ground pound and summons her limited edition kinetic energy scale for workouts to the field.
Wait, what does that do?
The energy scale follows the active character and boosts their attack based on Ian-san's own attack and amount of night soul points. The more night soul points she has, the higher the boost.
So, a couple things here that I like to hear is that we have another buffer. A very simple, easy to use buffer, like Bennett, of course. And this one is not tied down by an AoE, because again, it said the kinetic energy scale will follow the character around. So it looks like we have another alternative. And we're trying to move away from that whole circle impact, right? So characters like Ian-san, we really appreciate that the buff follows the character. Sort of like Goro as well.
Ah, okay. So it's better for Ian-san's night soul points to remain high.
Yes, exactly. And that's where the energy scale's other function comes in. The energy scale logs the distance the active character has moved, excluding Ian-san herself.
Now, this part right here is probably one of the most interesting parts of Ian-san's kit. So her buff will actually give more attack bonus. Again, they don't say how much, but it does give you an additional attack bonus based off your character's distance. This just solidifies her as a good support for characters like VARESA, Gaming, or Zhao because they're moving a lot, right? They're jumping up into the air, plunging down, etc., etc. So there's a lot of movement there. Malvika, I asked this, but I'm not really sure. Like, does Malvika's donuts count as movement? Because that's her charge attack, but she's also moving a lot while doing it. So I'm not quite sure there. She could be an she could be a replacement for Bennett on the Natlan team. It all depends on how much of an attack boost we're actually talking about here. The possibilities for Yansan teammates, definitely, it's a little niche, right? Whereas Bennett can buff most of the cast, Yansan's gonna look for high mobility characters.
The more Yansan's party members move, the more Night Soul points she gains, which means her attack buff is higher.
Wow.
I like
Okay,
that
so
design,
it all
though.
comes down to the amount of exercise. Very fitting for a trainer. So Yansan probably works best with characters who use movement abilities in combat.
That's true.
Yep.
Although, because of that, her buff isn't restricted to a specific AoE, so moving around is kind of the point.
That is, again, I mentioned this earlier, great addition to just the buffer list of characters, because now you're not playing Circle Impact and you can actually move around, and especially if the boss you're fighting or whatever enemies you're fighting are also moving around, then you can still keep your active buffs.
I'm sure travelers will figure out all sorts of cool team comps.
That's so nice.
Also, when a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst,
She'll definitely be good with Kinich, but it's kind of weird that they put them together because Kinich is a burning DPS, but hey, if she's just there to be a buffer, though, I guess it works out.
Yansan obtains the warming up effect through one of her talents, allowing her to continuously restore HP to your current active character for a period of time.
So we have a nice buffer and healer. Again, she's sounding more and more like a side option to Bennett. Definitely not a power creep. We just don't know how much she's healing because, again, they don't mention it. As long as the healing is decent, because we can see here VARESA. Let me remove the captions real fast. You can see VARESA here is damaged. So we're going to see how much she gets healed. Let me go ahead and play it.
Oh, I like that.
It was very little. That was like only 1,000-ish HP. That's not good. But we also don't know if this Eon-san is built like optimally for the heals, and if we can like optimize that a bit more, because that's very, very little. We're definitely not going to use Eon-san as our soul healer.
Because recovery is definitely important in training too.
Yansan's training comes in handy for exploration as well.
And then
in the Night Soul's blessing
this
state,
looks like
Yansan's
VARESA's
movement
as
speed
well.
is enhanced.
Which
And
makes sense.
holding the sprint button allows her to enter the even faster at rush state.
Wow, that's lightning fast.
All right, so that's it for Yansan's kit. So again, she looks solid. The healing though is just not looking good. If that can be boosted just a tiny bit more, like even 3,000, 4,000 HP would make her at least a decent healer for late game. 1,000 just ain't it. But as I mentioned, you are not limited to a circle, and the buff follows you around, and that's really good. So even if the buff isn't, on par with Bennett's attack boost, the fact that you're not tied down to a single circle is honestly really, really good, and might even be the better option for some certain fights where you don't want to just have to rely on Bennett buff being in the right spot. So could be a really solid character for a 4-star. We'll have to wait and see. But hey, at least a lot of characters are getting another buff, like another buffer to your team, so definitely one you could consider. And since she is a 4-star, I know some people are disappointed with that, because we all want a character to be a 5-star, but her being 4-star means we can actually get a C6 of her, at least, maybe not right now, but eventually, right? And in plenty of reruns to come, we'll be all pulling and getting duplicates of her, and possibly she'll be really, really strong as a buffer for your teams. So something to definitely consider. VARESA and Eon-san as well, if you were one of those players that were struggling on the latest combat event because you didn't have a Night Soul blessing, at least consider getting, someone easy or a 4-star one, like a Eon-san being a good option here, just to activate the whole Night Soul blessing to get buffs condition, right? So let's go ahead and move on really quickly to the banners. So we have here, this is phase 1, and we have Cloud Retainer, who's finally making a appearance, a rerun again. It has literally been over a year since we last saw her, and again, because we have a VARESA who is a plunging DPS, Jian Yun or Cloud Retainer buffs exactly that. So gonna be a very good team combination for you right here if you want to pull for both, if you can pull for both. Other than that, Cloud Retainer is also just really good for exploration, and she's not limited to Natlan stuff, obviously, because she's not a Natlan character. She has like these really big jumps, makes climbing a lot faster and easier for you. So even if you don't plan on using Cloud Retainer, if you're someone that wants a good character for exploration, consider Cloud Retainer. But other than that, we're going to move on to phase 2, and we have Venti and Shilinin. So Venti getting a rerun after, I'm gonna guess it's been some time. For new players out there that are just starting their Genshin adventure, Venti was the very, very first limited character that we could pull for. It's not that Venti is bad. It's the fact that more than half the enemies you go up against in this game can resist his burst. So his burst is a really, really strong pull, you know, just like Sucrose, Lanyan, Kazuha's skill, etc., etc. But he has the addition of lifting up enemies as well, and this is actually pretty bad if you want to use him with melee characters, because some melee characters' attacks will just straight up whiff, because he lifts them up, depending on the enemy, a little too high. So some melee characters can't even reach them. So that's bad synergy there. You definitely want to use him with like a ranged DPS or something like that. And the other thing is that, you know, most elite enemies and every single boss in this game will resist his burst. You cannot pull bosses and lift them up into the air. That would be too strong. If you could, then Venti would still be S tier to this day, but it's just how it is. He's good for just cleaning up trash mobs, Hilichurls, slimes, fungi, etc., etc., and not much else. However, I would recommend Shilinin, who's on this banner. She is very, very strong. Global, like, buffs to your entire team, especially if you get her signature weapon. And of course, her artifact set, also giving you damage boosts. But her skill also shreds enemy resistances, which is really, really good, as long as you have an element that synergizes with Geo. So it has to be Cryo, Electro, Pyro, or Hydro. Any one of those, and she can shred the resistance. She can also shred Geo resistance as well. So keep that in mind. She's also a decent healer, so she does it all. Debuffs, buffs, some heals if she's the only Geo on the team. And she's just a really, really good character. Again, another character that can activate a free Night Soul Blessing for those combat-related events that might have been frustrating for some of you. So I would definitely recommend her over Venti because she can work on bosses as well, whereas Venti cannot. And bosses tend to be the harder challenges in this game anywho. And with that being said, that's going to be it for my initial reaction to 5.5. Honestly, both characters look pretty solid. It's all going to come down to how they actually feel and the numbers once we actually get to try them out in the new version, which I will definitely do. And I'll give my 2 cents on both of them once they're finally released. Not much else to say other than don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more Genshin content. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.